This episode of A Rays of Living discusses language matters. Can we all agree that language matters, that words matter, and how we wield them matters, and the words that we form and bring out of our mouths matter? Language encompasses our ability to read, to write, and speak, and is all about expression and communication. It has been used to uplift and equally sadly, not equally, but sadly, it has been used to control and demoralize. Language spans many cultures and is delivered in many forms and dialects. And to say language is fascinating is truly an understatement on so many levels. I think I'm safe in saying, I think I am, English is one of the most spoken languages in the world. And from sheer volume related to native speaking languages, it's not number one in the world. In fact, Mandarin Chinese is number one, having close to 1 billion people having it as their first language or mother tongue. And just as profound is 1.12 billion speak it. And then that's followed by Spanish, and then English slides in third place, having around 350 million having it as their mother tongue. But here's where the fundamental difference in numbers become and why spoken English is considered number one, because 1.45 billion people speak English, even if it's their second or third language. And that's how the numbers are different. So these language standings were garnered from the Ethnologue's last edition. Now, I'm speaking English in this podcast, so I factor into the native 342 million number and the spoken 1.45 billion for English. And while those are all interesting facts, and there are realities, it's not the real intent of this episode. Because this episode, and when I say language matters, is about becoming real intentional with your words, becoming conscious of the words that you use and how they impact you and others. Now, in the last 2 years, I have been focused on self-correcting my language. Not changing it, just working to eliminate certain words from my vocabulary. And there's a number of them. And I'll go through some of them. I don't know if I'll go through all the list, but I will go through some. And one of those words is success. Another is the supposed opposite of that, failure. Now, these two words are the beloved words of society, and yet those words create divisiveness. Because if you're not a success and my fingers are up, it's really easy from societal norms to conclude failure. And that's just from an opposing point of view without even voicing the word. If you're not deemed to be a success, visually and impactfully, your mind goes to failure. And that's the conditioning of society. And if you are elevating yourself beyond the conditions of society and truly, truly living divintastically, which is becoming the artisan of your own life, you have the power to change those words. You have the power to create your own visualizations. You have the power to reframe how you think about those things. You really do. We all do. So it is important to consider your words. And we already know, I don't buy in anymore to that childhood. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can never hurt me. Yes, words can hurt you. Yes, words can be damaging. And yes, words, when they spill out of your mouth, are many, 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 many times hard to retract, hard to correct, and hard to take back the impacts. So language matters. And so my lens is that the trying, the trial and errors, the doing, are all merited actions that breed resiliency, perseverance, and confirm one's commitment to excel and to excellence for the journey they are on. And when I go back to success and failure, when we speak of success, it's important to level set by whose standards. That's why I don't like the word, because when I speak of success, which I try not to, because I'm retraining societal norms, and when others speak of success, they're speaking about their view of success. And I would be speaking about my view of success. And most of the times, I've found, we're never really speaking apples to apples, because my view of success may not be your view of success. And so becomes one of those conversational words or words that are very subjective. And so I don't like the word success. So it's important to level set by whose standards. And for me, there is no success, only achievement. For me, only achievement matters. That's why goal setting matters. And that's why ticking off the goals matter, because then you get to literally see your achievements. And achievements are one at a time. And that builds to a crescendo of sorts. The more ticks you have of checking off real goals, smart goals, it builds a crescendo. And after the buildup of the crescendo, you have real achievement, visible achievement. You can articulate what you've achieved. Doesn't mean it equates to somebody else's viewpoint of success, but for you, it is achievement. And that can't ever be taken away from you. Someone can put down your view of success. Someone can put down your view of success, but nobody can take away your achievements. That's where the fundamental difference is. So when I talk success, that's where I'm speaking of it from, not from the word success. To me, that word is to be removed from my vocabulary. I can't tell you remove it from yours. I can make my point of view, and you can listen to my point of view and make your own decisions. But for me, my decision is to remove it or minimalize it in my language and talk about achievements, which many can relate to. And I've been working on this for at least 2 years or more. I'm working to eliminate the concepts of success and failure. The concepts as reinforced by society from my mind, vocabulary, and approach to living. So let's flip a bit and talk about failure. There is no such thing as failure. In my mind, there's a lot of lessons that we get to learn. And we can't really learn lessons without living our life and without doing things and taking action. And some actions don't always pan out the way you thought they would, and you get lessons. There's no such thing as failure. You take your lessons, you readapt what you've learned in your new actions, and from there you keep going. And yes, notches along the way will have lessons. That in no way equates to the concept, this societal concept of failure. What is that? We are spirits on the journey of a human experience, and in that experience, we must experience. And yes, sometimes we will experience lows, and sometimes we will experience highs, and sometimes we will experience beautiful plateaus. All in all, every one of those steps are a journey. They're taking us on a journey. And we get to decide how we move in that journey. Do we take a rough path? Do we take the paved path? Do we take the escalator path? We get to decide that. And the way we apply language to that journey is so important, not just for ourselves, but for others. So I consider language an up-leveling aspect of us, if we really want to grow and expand our horizons and build to a wisdom level, then we must look at our language. And one of the first things to understand is that language matters. It matters for us and it matters for those we interact with. And we must be cognizant of that and start to retrain ourselves to use language differently. And I find it is all around. It's becoming more prevalent that we have this consciousness, that we get to this consciousness of how we use language. Because we see it where words, demoralize and they put down others and they cancel out things. So success and failure are two words that we can look at. And as you look at it, come to your view of how you feel about it. And stop and think, where am I today? Where am I in my life journey today? Am I success? Is that measured by money? How much you have in a bank? Is it measured by how many cars you have in the driveway? Is it measured by how big your house is? What is that measured by? But when I say, what is your achievements? You can list those off pretty quick. and we can get to celebrate your achievements. But if you have achieved all sorts of material things, but people want to move away from you, then I have to question, are you a success? So let's start looking and being quite honest with ourselves in that reflection back. Where we are in life. Where are we in life? What achievements have you made? Another word that should be eliminated is the but word. The but cancels out everything in front of it. I'm happy, but just canceled out that you're happy. I'm successful, but just canceled out that you're successful. So that's a word that I am worked on to eliminate from my vocabulary. There's times when, the but from a simple vocabulary perspective has merit, but there's alternative words that you can use instead of the but. That is even better. You can use and. I am successful and. I am happy and. I am happy although, or however, nevertheless, still, yet is one that I use, though. On the other hand, there's other ways, and we need to practice this. We need to become conscious of it and aware of it and practice alternate. And that's when you start to discover how ingrained society has put these negative words in our mouths, in our whole persona, in our psyche. These words have ingrained, but they don't serve us in the right way. So this episode is about planting that seed of awareness. At least have you think about it, reflect on it a bit, and practice to realize how hard it is to change. And then you have to ask yourself, why is it hard to change? There's the words can't, cannot, can't stand those. Pun there, by the way. I don't like those words because those are self-sabotaging words. They give you a feeling of inability to achieve. Language matters. You can achieve what you put your mind to, and with action and focus and visualization, you can achieve. And if you can achieve, then why are we using this not word and cannot word in all of this? It's about strategy. It's about how you approach it. And doing so within the confines of the law. Nobody wants to go to jail, so do it within the confines of the law. Don't say you can't. Don't use that word in the way society has us using that word. It leads to self-doubt. It leads to us questioning our possibilities, and our possibilities are endless. We run around seeking power, and we have it within ourselves already. We have what we need. Everything we need, we were born with. It's words, though, like success, failure, and but, and cannot, and can't. Another word this one's given me, all of them gave me trouble, but this one's really given me trouble. And this one I'm working on, actively working on a day-to-day basis. Are you ready for the word? The word's trying. Trying. Who would have thought? And we immediately come out and say it. I'm trying for this. I'm trying for that. No, just do. Just do. I'm going to do. I will. Put that instead. I will do this. I will deliver a podcast. I will touch people. Try the will. And will is so natural for us because we have free will. We have willpower. So why do we not use what we already have? And that's will. I have the will to do this. I will do this. Not I'm going to try to be kind. I will be kind. Not I'm going to try to drive. I will drive. Not I'm trying to make $70,000 a year. No, I will make $70,000 a year. Then it's all from such positivity and optimism. You're able to do it. You strategize. You do. Here's what I need to do. And it gets achieved. Notice again the way the language is going. So again, I call out language matters. It matters to us. It matters someone else, how we use it and deliver it to recipients of our word, recipients of our communication, recipients and listeners of this podcast. It matters. So the question becomes, if it matters and we're using the wrong words, How can we change it? How can we trigger the awareness and document? One of the things I did, I documented how many times I'm using some of these words, and I was floored by that number. I'm happy to report it's becoming less and less. But it couldn't become less and less unless I first became aware, and unless I first truly acknowledged that language does matter, and that for me it's important, the language I use, and that language serves in uplifting, not putting down, uplifting, not putting down anyone and any group or person or individual or team. And that is a factor. Change in that in ourselves is a factor of people innovation. One of my topics I love so much. I innovate me. I get to innovate me. And we all can, but first we have to become aware of it. And then we do what we need to do. And yes, it's frustrating at times. I get frustrated when the but word kicks in every now and then. Or the trying. This is the one I've said is really tough. The trying word kicks in. And I'm like, oh, darn, I used it again. And then I've got to self-correct. But this is the beautiful thing. We can self-correct. That's the beautiful thing of free will. We can self-correct, and we can change our language, and we can use it for empowerment, not disempowerment. And doing that is a decision. And you know how I feel about decisions. We just decide to do it. And then we go through the actions to do that. And yes, sometimes we'll falter. And when we do, we self-correct. And we continue, and every day it gets better and better and better. So reflect on that. Write, encapsulate all the words that aren't serving you, but actually are self-sabotaging you. Or others are using it with you and sabotaging you. Whether done by yourself or others is still sabotage. I'm not saying that they're conscious, that's what they're doing. Because it's built in from our environment and from the schoolyard, and the teachers and all parents and all the people we encounter are using these words. And so we get to use them. And sometimes people think it's slang and it's hype. And some people have the theory that if you use the word enough, you actually disempower it. I'm not so sure. That's what's being done with the N-word. And I haven't seen it disempowered it or anything. So all it's done is more people saying it. And the same concept of this black and white. We're choosing to pick up the banner of these words and self-identify ourselves. And to me, that's where I kick in with this topic, language matters. I know I don't want to be self-identified that way. I'm an individual like everybody else. I'm a human experience journey person like everybody else. I'm a spirit on a journey. And I'm experiencing life, and I'm noting things, and I am looking to elevate myself and empower myself. And one of the things to do that is through my mother tongue, as I spin it back to how we started. And whatever your mother tongue is, whatever your main language, and whatever other languages you speak. Many of us speak a second language. Many get to speak even more than a second language. Whatever language you're using, just know the words that come out either in written form, spoken form, matter. So think about that and see where you fit in or would like to fit in that acknowledgement. And then do the work to change what you wish to change. And you'll want to change after making a decision to change. And on that note, I will say what I've always said. If you need help with any of this, you know where to reach me, reach out, and let's have a conversation and talk about what change could look like. And it starts with you making a decision, a commitment, and all of those things. So on that note, I thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to this episode of Arrays of Living. And please be sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You will also find in the description below my email address should you want to reach out, and I am happy if you do. And just to be sure, it's jen@youareworthmore.co, and worth more you definitely are. And lastly, also see the link that will allow you to schedule a meet and greet with me. And that's an opportunity for me to meet you and you to meet me, and for us to have a chat. And that would be wonderful and welcoming. So please hit the link and let's set up a meet and greet.